This is Outside the Cage with their hosts Pete Hoffman, Ike Feldman. Check us out, CBS Sports Radio, WFAN.com, Mike's On app, everythingradio.com. And don't forget to watch Rory MacDonald battle Jon Fitch in the Bellator MMA welterweight World Grand Prix on April 27th, streamed live exclusively on DAZN. Remember, this is not pay-per-view. It's an app you download to your TV or connected device, just like Netflix. Subscribe now to watch this fight and the other 100-plus fight nights DAZN already has lined up this year. Visit DAZN.com or download DAZN to learn more. And joining us right now, the Red King himself, Rory MacDonald. How you doing, Rory? What's good, man?
I'm doing really good. Thanks for having me on your show.
Of course, man. Listen, last time I spoke to someone in the Grand Prix was to MVP, and I threw it out there. It sounded like a stupid question at the time, but it was about, does he maybe possibly prepared for Paul Daly's wrestling skills? It doesn't make any sense whatsoever. You're fighting Jon Fitch, April 27th. He's a vet of the sport. But do you see that Jon may do something different than he normally is? Have you prepared for all that he may actually do in the cage?
Yeah, I mean, Jon has a pretty straightforward style. He brings into the cage every time. He is a hard-nosed guy. He's going to come and fight hard every time, no matter who he goes up against. He throws heavy punches, and he goes in there to fight hard wherever the fight may take place. But his strength is definitely to wrestle and grind guys out and wear them out and get the finish if he can, or win on points by control.
Again, Rory @Rory_MacDonald on Twitter. Your last fight versus Gegard Mousasi, up in the middleweight division. You said that you just weren't all into that fight. This fight's less than 10 days away. Are you locked in 100%? Are you at that level where you are, that championship level? We've seen you go through these wars. We've seen you, over the years just put on a show. Are you back at that level ready?
Yeah, so I've been training hard and focused. My family has been, like me and my wife, we've been very focused on this training camp, whereas the last one we were a little distracted with other things going on with our life. So I do feel that when I put in the work and I'm focused on my goal, I always go in there and I fight properly. So I don't see it going any different this time now that I've put in the hard work and I'm feeling good.
You're saying that you're ready to go. You're locked in. What obviously family life happens all the time for sure. But going into this fight versus Jon Fitch, your title is on the line. Does that have a different weighing element to it as well? I mean, every fight that you have in this Grand Prix tournament, you have that title on the line. Does that change the motivation again? Are you still does it create the extra hunger in there that you have to defend this belt?
Not really. I don't even think about it, to be honest. It's just another fight in my eyes. I forget. At times, I just don't even pay any attention to it.
Why is that? Because a lot of fighters say that. Like we had Max Holloway in here not too long ago, and he doesn't need. The belt obviously adds extra spice to it. If there's a belt hanging over, the fans' heads, we want to see it more. But for the fighters, is it the matchup that you have? I mean, were you excited about this Jon Fitch matchup, or was it something else that was really? Was it what really drives you that the championship doesn't really make a difference to you?
Well, Vic, I find any of the top guys in the sport, when you're matched up against them, it's exciting because you're fighting another top mixed martial artist, and also just to be victorious in this tournament format. I've never been involved in a tournament before, but that's it. Just competing at a high level with top talent and being victorious in a world class mixed martial arts tournament.
We've seen you go through wars We really have. This past weekend, I'm not sure. I'm not sure how much you keep an eye on all the other fights that go on, like the UFC 236 that just took place this weekend, Israel Adesanya and Kelvin Gastelum, and you had Dustin Poirier and Max Holloway that were put on unbelievable fights. You've been in those wars before. You were in there with Robbie Lawler, and you were on the other side of the decision. You didn't come out on top, but you still are respected as one, if not the best welterweight in the world. How did you come out of that fight? And what was your perspective after that Robbie Lawler loss that still propelled you to be so good and attack every fight to know that you're still the best? And did you walk away? Did you feel bad after losing? Like, how does that feel?
Yeah, it was very disappointing, and it was hard, especially because I was so injured in my face. I broke my nose really bad, and I was breaking it in the gym, and it seemed like there was, I don't know, just like a really big roadblock in my way that I didn't see coming. And I wasn't really prepared to handle it. It really shook me up. But thank God, God put me on a even better path than what I imagined myself to be on. And, life is great. I'm happy.
Well, listen, you're in a fantastic promotion. Bellator is, forever on the rise. I mean, Scott Coker does wonderful things with your company. He's pulling in a lot of good talent. I mean, the fact that you were stolen away from the UFC was outrageous. Do you feel like you were stolen away, or were you kind of like, is there a different term you want to use? Like, did you chose Bellator over UFC? How would you like to approach that?
Well, they offered me a better contract with better opportunities, and I just felt like I wasn't getting what I wanted. Where no matter how much I fought for the UFC and how much favors I feel like I did, they were just, I just didn't feel like I was getting the love that I was due, and I felt like Bellator was a good place, a good change, and I was feeling positive that they would be better for me, and it turns out I was right.
No question. And now with the DAZN package, again, we talked about this earlier before I promoted it before we started the interview, but DAZN is beautiful. The streaming, MMA is a digital platform. Like, it's on TV, sure. We'd like to see people buy the pay-per-views. Now ESPN has their they bought into the UFC. But it is it is an internet-heavy platform. And DAZN, have you seen the effect that it has on the fighters and the promotion for Bellator as well? That DAZN is now taking part and taking you guys under their wing as well.
I haven't noticed it. No, I haven't been paying attention enough to that side of things.
Well, you're a very humble man there, Rory MacDonald. The one thing that I'm curious about too, I mean, your Canadian background. Are you a big hockey fan by any chance?
I don't watch hockey.
No, how is that possible?
I don't know. I used to play hockey when I was a kid, actually quite competitively until I found martial arts. But I don't like really watching sports, to be honest.
Well, you don't like watching sports, but then you're so, driven to be one, and you are one of the best in the world at MMA. How did you get that passion I believe 14 years old you started training?
Yeah. Well, I just fell in love with it. It was a really good atmosphere in the gym. I was searching for something to be focused on. My life was in a bit of a bad place at the time, and it was really nice to be surrounded with, positive energy and men to look up to, and also something to strive for. I was hungry to learn and one day become a fighter. So it gave me a positive outlet and something to focus on in my life.
And, MMA, I always say this all the time. We talk to so many different fighters, best of the best, but, it's unbelievable that, every single fighter that comes through these doors, the intellect that you have, the way that you present yourself. There are the few outcasts, whether it's the Conor McGregors of the world or whomever, the Chael Sonnens, who are a bit more of a talker, but for the majority, it's a fighter like yourself that comes in humble, but is so smart. That you develop so many different skills. It's not just a brutal mentality of a caveman mentality. If I'm going to knock your head off, you do have to go through wars for sure. But what is it about mixed martial artists that you seem to be created differently?
Well, I guess because you can put your own personal touch on it. You can express yourself through martial arts. So it's it's kind of a way to express myself, and also it's kind of cool just to like learn like fighting skills. I don't know. It's a simple thing. It's just something that I enjoy to do. It's fun. It's fun to train, and it's fun to do it as a competition as well.
You're being joined by Rory MacDonald. I mean, the competition factor is obviously huge there, but in front of the audience, in front of the crowd, they certainly, I'm sure, hype you up as well. That's got to be adrenaline. But getting into those wars, like we talked about with the Robbie Lawler fights and others that you've had in the past as well. Do you prefer a quick fight? Do you want it to be a flawless fight? Is there such a thing as a flawless fight for Rory MacDonald? Or do you like the battle-tested, 3 to 5 round full fight where you guys are going toe-to-toe and there's a decision at the end and your hand is still raised?
I used to like that. I used to like those hard fights, but now I'm over it. I've experienced it, and I enjoy those fights that you can come out unscathed. Those are it's always nice. It's a blessing.
Does the family life change things a lot now that you have kids?
My lifestyle changed, that's for sure. I mean, I have a wonderful life because before I was just focused on being a fighter and doing whatever. Now I have my family I get to spend all my time with, and it's just life is great now.
Do you plan on teaching your children mixed martial arts? If they showed interest in your career, would you allow them to do that, or maybe fight competitive as well?
Well, I would like them to train a bit, and I would like to show them, but I definitely wouldn't like them to fight like as a career. I don't think that's something I would want to push my kids into.
Not push, but they see daddy going for fights. Like, are you going to let them watch your fights? Like, when does that start to happen? I mean, I know your kids are pretty young. I think you just had a newborn this year, correct?
Coming in August.
Coming in August. There you go. I mean, when do you say, hey, watch daddy's tapes, or not even tape anymore? Go to YouTube.
Yeah, I mean, it'll be interesting. I mean, we don't really watch too much of it in my house, and I don't really I don't watch my fights very much. Like, it's very few and far between. It's more other people that bring it up than anything. It's not really something that we bring up a lot in my household. It's just more other things in life we're focused on, and it's just work, So, I don't know. I kind of like it that it's separate. I like, because one day this door is going to close and I'm going to be moving on to the next chapter in my life. And, I think it'll be much better that my kids I bring them up in a different way to work and make money.
Have you thought about that a lot, Roy? Like, have you thought about what the next stage in your career is, like after you hang up the gloves?
Yeah, I think about it all the time. Now that I have kids, I think that's something that you're very conscious of, is like, because, the clock, there's sometimes this has to end. What am I going to do next, and how am I going to support my family? So at the moment, I don't know what it is, but I do feel that I've had a calling on my heart from God to do something for His kingdom. But what that is right now, I don't know. But I do believe that God is going to open that door when the time is right, so I could close this door.
Wow, that's heavy stuff, man. I mean, listen, I agree. Sometimes, so the man upstairs has a message for all of us, and you don't know when that is, but when he comes knocking, you know you're ready. But Rory MacDonald, thank you so much. We're looking forward to your fight April 27th versus Jon Fitch in the welterweight Grand Prix on the Zone. And good luck the rest of the way, and can't wait to see you in those finals and repping that belt again, my man. Appreciate it.
Thank you very much. Take care.